Hello out there in YouTube land. I'm holding my camera with my hand because I want to show you this crazy Los Angeles overcast day. And you could also see my view that I have every morning. I guess it doesn't look very nice, but I kind of like it because I can see the sky a lot. It's not that bad. But anyway, this is going to be a pretty disjointed, strange video that is going to end with probably the most disappointing celebrity story from a person who's lived in Los Angeles for 8 years that you've ever heard. But here it goes. But first I want to talk about what's going on with me. So if you've seen the last few vlogs I've done on Tuesdays that I've been releasing, they've been generally pretty positive because I am really excited about 2022. And last few videos have been a lot about my goal setting as far as being an indie musician and different goals that I want to achieve in this year for my music career. And so they've generally been really positive, but I have to admit that it's been getting off to a slow start for me. So I've been having some 2021 issues that have been carried over into this new year. Today is my last day before I go back to my day job tomorrow as a substitute teacher. I've had 6 weeks off. I had major surgery, and which I'm happy to say I'm recovered and it all went really well. As a substitute teacher, you get a lot of school holidays off. For Thanksgiving, you get a week off. I was going to use that week to relax and have some fun before I had to have surgery. So the day I'm leaving my substitute teaching job, my car blows up. And it's a really sad story that I'm not going to get into. It's actually kind of my fault. I was so distracted with having surgery. I've never been in a hospital. I've never had surgery before. This is a really big deal for me. It's something that totally derailed me and distracted me from working on a lot of music stuff I wanted to work on. So anyway, that happened, and this morning I woke up and I was really upset and depressed because even though I got a new car engine and a new transmission, I spent over $3,000 and my car is still in the shop and it just has not been fixed yet. And I just feel defeated, and now I'm starting to get hospital bills. And I have really good insurance, but it's not, I have to pay some of it. So it's just all kind of coming down on me right now. And it's been so distracting for me when I have these huge problems like that to work on my music goals. So I did get that goal book that I did a video on, that Lavender goal book, and I've been using it. And in all fairness, for January, I knew I was returning to my day job, so I didn't want to put a lot of pressure on me because there's a big adjustment period when I return to my day job. So I kind of know that once I return, that the rest of the month's going to be shot. It's going to be me trying to adjust to this new schedule. And so I didn't give myself a lot of goals for the month of January, but I gave myself some goals, and I really haven't done anything, to be honest. And I have to go back to work tomorrow. So I was kind of hoping that I would accomplish a lot of goals in these last couple weeks that I've had off. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with me right now. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about self-care because, like I said, I woke up just crying, and today's my last day, so it's like I wanted to do another vlog for Tuesday and get some videos going when I go back to work, so I have stuff to post on YouTube. And I have an email course that I'm almost finished with, so it's not like I haven't done anything, but I haven't finished anything in a long time, like completed something totally complete as far as music goals. And that's been really bothering me, and so I really wanted to say that I completed something major. So anyway, I woke up feeling really bad, and like I said, I get really distracted when I have major life stuff going on, and it's hard for me to work on my music goals. So I decided today that instead of trying to get all this stuff done, that I'm going to do some self-care. So I actually took like a 2-hour bath because I love baths. And there's something about being in the warm water that feels really comforting to me, and it just sort of melts all my issues away and stress. And in the water I feel so weightless, because when I have problems like I've been having, it's like the weight of the world is on me. And so I did that, and I have to say that the longer I was in there, the better I felt. And I actually was thinking, you know what? I think I'm gonna get out, and I think I feel like doing a YouTube video. I feel like maybe working on a little bit of my music goals today. So I can't emphasize enough that self-care is so important. And I actually made a green drink. So this is a drink that I make that I really like. It's a whole head of parsley and 1 apple with water, and all you do is put it in a blender and blend it up and drink it, and it's got a lot of vitamin C and nutrients in it. So I made myself a green drink, decided I'm gonna do this video, so that's my story with self-care. But anyway, here's my story about Peter Bogdanovich. So he died recently. A lot of you probably know that or have heard the news. So a little bit of backstory. I've been in Los Angeles for 8 years now, and I moved here from a very small town, and I've pretty much always lived all my life in a very small town. I come from a family who are real outdoors people, so I've always lived in the woods. I briefly lived in San Francisco when I was 19 years old, because I wanted to see what else was out there, because like I said, I always lived in small towns. And so I had a pretty sheltered life. And when I was in high school, I wanted to be an actress, and I actually went to a special school when I was 16 to do that. And I studied acting when I was in college, when I was 17 and 18. And I wanted to be an actress, and that kind of all fell apart, but then I got into music. And that was really great. So I started doing music, but I always was fascinated with Hollywood, and I'd never been to Los Angeles before. I didn't know what it was like, but I used to read a lot of magazines with celebrities in it, and I was always interested in the celebrity gossip. And so when I actually moved to Los Angeles, I was really affected by that. Sorry, my nose keeps itching. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I was really affected by all that. And I mean, I try to be cool, but I am a very starstruck person, because even after 8 years, I still can't believe that I live here. And I've had my share of celebrity sightings. I saw Pauly Shore having coffee in one of my favorite coffee shops in Silver Lake. I saw Minnie Driver at an art show. I saw Melanie Griffith in her car driving. I saw Jessica Chastain, but I don't really follow any shows that she's in. Anyway, there's been some celebrity sightings, and I'm actually the kind of person that gets really intimidated. I try not to be too intimidated by a lot of my friends in the music community that have done big things with their music careers, and that have been so gracious to me and also have offered me their friendship. And I try to be cool, and I try to be normal, but it's hard for me because I'm a very nervous person too. So I just deal with like all that, and then also just my history of just Hollywood and what that would be like. And then of course you go to Hollywood and it's the most disappointing experience ever, because it's not like what you imagine maybe. I was very naive when I moved to LA. So anyway, 3 years ago, it was my birthday, and I told my boyfriend that I wanted to go to one of my favorite restaurants in LA, Mozza. And I wanted to have pizza because that's my favorite food. So I'm all excited about going to the restaurant, and on the way to the restaurant, I get the worst stomach ache I've had in a long time. My stomach is in knots, and I'm like, by the time we get to the restaurant, I'm literally doubled over in the car with these cramps in my stomach. It's not like I feel like I even have to go to the bathroom. I think I'm just not even sure at this point. I'm like, what's going on with my stomach? And I'm feeling sick to my stomach. But it's my birthday, and I take my birthday very seriously. I like celebrating my birthday. And so I was fighting this feeling. My boyfriend's asking me, do you want to go home? And I'm like, I'm all dressed up and I want to go have my birthday. So we're sitting in the car for 20 minutes because we're a little bit early, and I'm debating because I've got these stomach cramps. Finally, they kind of subsided a little bit, and we go into the restaurant, and it's funny because I get very overly stimulated with a lot of noise. A lot of LA restaurants are very noisy, And I hadn't been to Mozza in a really long time. I went there before, like a year prior to my birthday, and I guess I was in a different area, and it was actually really quiet and a nice experience. I guess I was in the main part of the restaurant, and it was really loud. And actually, I'm so sorry to say this, Mozza, but the pizza wasn't very good, and I just didn't have a very good experience. So I'm walking out of Mozza, and who is coming towards me? It is Peter Bogdanovich. Inside, I flip out because this is like the celebrity sighting for me. I haven't even seen all of his movies or anything like that, but I've always loved Peter Bogdanovich because I always thought he was a really interesting person, and I was super fascinated with the story about his girlfriend that he had, Dorothy Stratton. She was a Playboy playmate that got killed, murdered. And I was fascinated with this story and with Dorothy Stratton and Peter Bogdanovich. I got to know everything about him. And so he's coming towards me, and this is 3 years ago. I don't know if he had a stroke. I'm not sure what was going on, but he was kind of shuffling a little bit. And he was only with one other person. And this guy who looked like a really cool guy and approachable. And they're coming right at me. And there's no one else on the street. It is just the two of us and Peter Bogdanovich and his friend coming down the street. And the friend, I'm looking at Peter Bogdanovich, I'm looking at the friend's smiling at me, like giving me an opening to say something. And I don't say anything. And they pass me by, I turn around, the friend actually turns around and waves to me. And I stop with my boyfriend, I'm like, well, first of all, my boyfriend didn't even know that was Peter Bogdanovich. I'm like, that was Peter Bogdanovich. And he's like, really? Wow. And then I was like, should I go talk to him? And my boyfriend's like, yeah, go. It's your birthday. And I don't know. It's totally ridiculous. What would I say, right? I don't know. It's my birthday. And anyway, so I didn't say anything. But, Peter Bogdanovich just died, so I just wanted to tell that little story. But I'm probably one of the few people that own the book that Peter Bogdanovich wrote called The Killing of the Unicorn. It's the book that he wrote about Dorothy Stratton 5 years after she was killed. I think he hates this book that he wrote it, but I love this book, and I actually reread it after surgery, and then he passed away. Peter Bogdanovich died. And so one of the things that I really admire about Peter Bogdanovich is his love of music. There's this really great doc that came out a few years ago called One Day Since Yesterday, and that's actually a line that Dorothy Stratton had written to Peter in a note. And I don't want to get into the whole story of what happened, but basically they were filming a movie together called They All Laughed, which is a great film. And she was in the movie, and during that movie is when she got murdered, right after the movie was finished filming. So he had someone write a song called One Day Since Yesterday that was featured in that film. It's just this really sweet country song that I love. And then also, I just love this story. And if you see this doc, One Day Since Yesterday, these stories are in that doc. It's really interesting. But he tells a story about when he was doing that movie, The Mask. That character, Eric Stoltz, was the actor, the boy who had the facial deformity, and Cher was the mom. So Peter Bogdanovich tells a story about ending his movie with wanting to include some Bruce Springsteen songs in it. And the last song that he wanted in the film was The Promised Land. And this was so important to him. And, I'm starting to study music and movies, and you could see how if you have an idea for a song that you want in a film, you can't unknow it. You can't unfeel it and just choose another song. And it's hard because some of these songs are really expensive and when you're trying to license them from the artist. And Bruce Springsteen let Peter Bogdanovich have these songs. And I guess he went away, and when he came back, something happened where they weren't going to let him use, not Bruce Springsteen, but the company or whatnot. It was out of Bruce Springsteen's hands, I guess. They weren't going to let Peter Bogdanovich use The Promised Land to end his movie, The Mask. And so they chose a Bob Seger song, and it like totally devastated him. And he tells the story in this doc about it. And I so relate to that feeling of music being that powerful, that it evokes this certain emotion. And if that's the song you feel that you want in your project, it's hard to just let that go. Anyway, he ends up suing the company that was responsible for that, and it was this big deal. But anyway, I just wanted to share that's my Peter Bogdanovich story. And I know it's kind of disappointing, but I just wanted to share a little about that since he passed away, and also just about my day and what I've been going through. I'm doing these vlogs on Tuesday to share a little bit about what I go through as an indie artist. So like the thing I was going through this morning really affects me because there's been so many changes in the last couple years with COVID. And as far as my music was going, it's taken a completely different trajectory now. And it's been really hard for me. I wasn't making a ton of extra money with music, and I still have my day job, which is great because I really need it. But I was actually starting to gain some traction and make a little money with music, and then COVID hit. And so it's changed a lot, and it affects me emotionally just going through what I'm going through. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about that again, because I know that a lot of indie musicians struggle with these issues. So that's why I wanted to share it. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for spending this time with me and supporting me as an indie artist. And I'll see you next time. Cheers! Just kidding, this is really good.